G'day, I'm Gazza. Today I'll be showing you how I go on to restore this very badly neglected telescope into something that's usable and practical and for the scientifically curious to enjoy. And there it is, it's a Tasco refractor telescope, 900mm focal length with a 60mm diameter objective lens. Comes with a German equatorial mount, which is always handy. Decent tripod, aluminium. All the parts seem to be intact. It just hasn't been maintained or looked after in a long time. The next step from here will be to dismantle it almost down to every single bolt. I'll be cleaning the rust off and greasing the parts that need greasing, and then put it back together. Noting I'll have to fabricate some parts to support the tripod and probably find a replacement rubber foot for one of the tripod legs. Right, so that's mainly dismantled. You got the main optical tube assembly there, and you have the equatorial mount, control knobs, some knickknacks, and you have here the tripod legs. I'm noting this is missing the tripod support base, which we'll have to build, and I suspect I'll be doing that out of wood. And just with the optical tube itself, tube is mainly okay, still maintained its structural integrity. There is a few dents and bumps, but there's no actual breaches of the tube itself. Most of the screws and fitting parts have been rusted, so my intent is to remove the focuser, find a scope, clean it all up. As I mentioned before, the lens is actually pretty good. So I'll be giving a very light clean, and I'll clean the dew cap as well. The mount itself, like I said, structurally it's still fine. It just needed a little bit of greasing and a bit of a clean. So a combination of WD-40 for the re-greasing and some vinegar for the rust removal. The declination rod there is fine, and the counterweight is fine. What's also missing is the safety screw. So that's the screw that stops the counterweight from slipping out, also known as a toe saver. So we'll just have to find a spare screw and a washer and use that there. The control cables or smooth control knob seems to be fine. These are all the bolts for the tripod itself, and there's the tripod legs there. Like I mentioned earlier on, one of them is missing a rubber foot, so I'll just have to replace it with an equivalent. The telescope legs are all, the tripod legs are all telescopic, so I can retract in and out. I will utilize these metal tabs, just have to straighten them out a little bit, and we'll fix the wooden platform there to help stabilize it, and also to turn it into an accessories tray. Regards to the erecting lens, that seems to be in good condition. There's a diagonal there. Diagonal mirror seems a bit dirty, but unscratched, which is the main thing. And the 12.5mm eyepiece is also in good condition. The good advantage is I have quite a few spare eyepieces, so we can play around with different combinations. Or if we have to give it away or sell it, we can sell it with at least two eyepieces. Generally 25mm and 10mm. This thing is missing a Barlow lens, so we'll see if we can find a replacement for that. But I think we can start taking apart the optical tube assembly to see how much cleaning is required. Right, so we've taken the optical tube assembly apart. There's a focuser, metal tube, finder scope still in good condition, optics are fine. No broken glass. The finder scope mount with the screws there, all rusty. There's a focuser knob axle there, which is all rusty as well. Timing screws are rusty. Like I said, the tube itself is fine. I'm going to give it, like I said, just a bit of a clean. And the lens arrangement is fine as well. And fortunately, there's no breaks or any other debris inside the tube. Right, so I managed to get the dew cap off, and here's a closer look at the lens itself. There's no scratches or cracks or anything, it just needs to be cleaned. And just for demonstration purposes, I actually removed the lens cell from the front of the tube there. As you can see, there's a little bit of dust, so I might actually give it just a quick modest clean. That outer ring you see there, that's the ring that holds the lens elements in place. So if you remove it, the lenses will fall out, and there's actually two lenses there, spaced by about 0.5 millimeters of spaces there. So if you muck around with any of the spaces at all, you'll have to go back and realign it and recollimate it. So try avoid taking lenses out. The gap between the lenses should be clean. Technically, you just have to worry about the surfaces of the two lenses there. So I've taken apart the finder scope itself. There's the eyepiece of the finder scope, good condition. The eyepiece glass on the outside need a little bit of cleaning. And there's the objective lens of the finder scope, and there's the shade. It's all good condition, a little bit of scratching. I'm going to clean the objective lens. Just watch out with these. They're actually all glass, so it will fall and crack. I'll be using a lint-free cloth and a little bit of a cleaning solution to clean the lens. And that's the focuser tube reassembled, cleaned up and ready to go. Now time to clean the actual objective lens. Exercise caution when cleaning this, because if you do scratch it or damage it, then that's over for the glass. It's all over. These lenses do have a multi-coat, are laid with multi-coat, which means if they are built properly, then they should be able to survive just a little bit of pressure in order for you to be able to clean them themselves. In terms of cleaning, I'll be using a solution of a little bit of water, a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and a little bit of detergent with some cotton, and just gently cleaning away the dirt there. And there's some of the rusted parts in the vinegar and water solution. I'll only keep it there for about half an hour, then I use a little bit of WD-40 to remove the rest of the rust. It should be good to go. So with a cotton ball, just dip it a little bit into the solution of a little bit of water, alcohol and isopropyl. Doesn't have to be soaking wet, just enough. And then you gently just wet the surface. You don't want to flood it, because if you flood it, the solution will flow in between the lenses, and then you've got to take the lenses out, and you want to try and avoid that. And just continue that. That way you're trying to wet the surface as much as possible, trying to get those stubborn stains out. Once you're satisfied it is damp and or wet enough, you can start slowly giving it a little wipe, just to try and collect all those. And it looks mostly clean there, and I'm just going to give it a quick dry. Once again, be gentle.
It's fresh. Really water.
And there's my little helper. And that surface is done. You can probably just see the shine right there. Just see the shine. Now I'll just go and do the other side now.
Down here.
Now use a different side of the damp cotton wool. That way you're not contaminating or transferring any debris you've collected from the other lens. Just dab it there so it just gets just wet enough. When you're satisfied the lens has got enough solution on it, you can start slowly trying collecting all that dust and debris. And once again, using the other side of the dry cotton wool, start collecting all that debris. So there is the focusing ring itself. It's got a little bit of just smudge, so I'm going to clean that off. I'm not going to touch the teeth themselves because they still have some grease on it. I want to keep that grease there. I'm just going to clean around it. So that's the optical tube assembly complete. The G-cap has been put back on. The lens has been reattached to the tube. There you go, it's all nice and clean. The tube has been cleaned. Had to use a bit of WD-40 because there was some paint there. I don't know why. The focus has been cleaned, and the focusing knob has been cleaned, and most of the rust has been removed. Actually, sorry, all of it's been removed. That you see there is just some of the metal been eaten away from the corrosion. Finder scope's been cleaned, reassembled, and all the tightening screws are back on. I'm really happy with the way that turned out, and I think I'm ready now to work on the mount. So there's the mount there. Like I said, structurally it's in a very good condition. Initially what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up all the dust, get rid of as much of the gunk as possible. Then we'll look at seeing how we can actually make it a little bit more smoother to track. So there's the base of the mount. That's a bit that assembles to the tripod leg, and that bit attaches to the actual equatorial mount. So I just took it apart there. As you can see, it's a little bit loose right there, so I just need to tighten that bolt just a little bit. I'm going to use a little bit of WD-4 just to give it a good clean, because it looks like it's been out there for a long time. With the rest of the equatorial mount, the right extension axis is a little bit stiff, so I'm going to add some WD-40 there just to loosen up a little bit, and add some grease to the control worm gear here. Same with the declination, just a little bit of WD-40 here as well, and also some WD-40 so I can clean up all the metal screws and notches there. So I finished work on the mount. I've cleaned up all the metal parts, removed the rust and polished them as well to make them shiny again. At this stage the declination axis is really smooth, and so is the right ascension axis here. I've cleaned the base as well and I've mounted it on, so I think we're good to go to attach it to the actual tripod itself. So next will be to work on the counterweight. There's a little bit of rust there, just going to do a bit of a rust removal, and the control cables, they just need to be cleaned, and there's a little bit of rust that needs to be removed as well. Should be an easy job. And for this I'll be using, once again, WD-40. So the tripod legs have been cleaned. I'm going to flatten these plates out with pliers, and at the tip of each tripod leg I'm going to put these rubber stoppers that I got from the hardware store. They're not a snug fit, I'm just going to put them in and put a screw in there to secure it. That way at least all of them will have the same rubber tip. And now for the cleaning of the tripod legs, I've got my little helper helping me out. So what I've done is I've put the little rubber stops on each one of the legs. I've assembled the tripod, and like I said, there was the accessories tray was missing, so I put a wooden tray here, and next thing I'm going to do is just drill some holes there so I can put the eyepieces in. The telescope is for the most part all assembled right now. See, very smooth motion on both axes. Yeah, focuser rolls out, in and out, no problem at all. The telescope is now complete. It's all been cleaned, all the rust has been removed. Both RA axis and deck axis have been cleaned up and greased. The tripod's been fixed up. I've made the addition of an accessories table here. Thanks very much for watching. This is just an example of how you can turn something that wasn't really looked after very well into something you can actually practically use and get some sort of science benefit out of. So you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You can still achieve the same effect just by applying just a little bit of rigor to try and bring something that was old and useless into something that's readily usable again. Thank you.